Hey guys, I'm Rhonda. This is Pat. We're back for another Kirkmont Women's Ministry video. We've been going through a series called "It's All Under Control" by Jennifer Dukes Lee. And it's available on Right Now Media. This week we're looking at session 4, which is why you need help. Do you need help? I don't know. I was it felt accusational when she said that to me. But she starts this video with the story of Jesus and the woman at the well, right? So that Dan touched on just a couple weeks ago in one of his sermons, right? And she talks about Jesus, and he's tired. He's weary from this journey. The scripture is, this is not, I need a cappuccino at 3 p.m. This is like, I'm pretty tired, right? So she points to the fact that if Jesus, in his time on earth here, in his humanity, needed help, if he asked for a drink of water, if he asked the disciples to go get food, if he asked people to pray for him, if he asked for help, then we need to ask for help too. But who's good at that? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm not. So I think that we need to spend a decent amount of time here talking about why we don't ask for help. I'm not one to ask at all.
And there are a whole bunch of reasons for that. I think the bottom line is pride. We don't want to admit that we need help. Jennifer gives a whole list of reasons about why we don't feel comfortable asking for help, and a lot of it is I can do this myself.
This is America. Yeah. I'm self-sufficient.
And it's uncomfortable to ask because you might be rebuffed. Somebody may say, can't you take care of that yourself? It's not natural for us because we're brought up to be independent and I can handle it and I don't need somebody coming alongside me. The problem is we do need help even if we don't want to ask for it.
Yeah. I mean, we just like to be the helper. And so that should tell us something, right? If we like to help and we enjoy ministering to other people, then we all know the rule, like allow people to help you and all that stuff. But sometimes the more we need help, the harder it is to ask. And she talks about that in the book because she talks about the power shift is greater, right? I mean, the more you need to ask for it, the less you want to because you recognize sort of the authority you're giving up. I wrote down something else from the book, and I wrote it like in all caps. You are not a burden. You are a person. We need to remember this, right? Yeah. I have a story, and I think Pat would probably tell, I think I know which story she would tell if I asked her most about helping or allowing other people to help. But when my son was born, he was very premature. He was in a hospital almost 3 hours away from home for us, and there was the constant back and forth and the driving and the, things just didn't get tended to. And my small group did all manner of things. They planted flowers in my yard because there was a certain window to plant them or they weren't going to be there, and I couldn't do it, but they asked, and so I said, I'd really like to have pansies in my yard. And if I'm going to have them this year, somebody else has to do it. They cleaned our house before Andy came home from the hospital. And I'm not just talking like I cleaned before they came and cleaned, like they unscrewed the light bulbs, like take the bugs out of the light fixture, kind of cleaned my house, okay? And it was vulnerable for me, but it was so, so wonderful to come home with my new baby and all that chaos to a house that I didn't have to worry about. Yeah. Do you have a little story about
I do.
Your lovey falling off the roof?
That would be exactly where I would go. For those of you who don't know, my husband decided that maybe he could, fly, so he stepped from the roof onto a ladder which slid out from under him and dropped him onto the deck. And he was in the hospital for 12 days after that from the injuries he sustained. And it was the same thing for us. Our small group stepped up in so many ways, and folks here from the church came and offered things I didn't even think about. Yeah. He fell the week before Thanksgiving, and we had one couple who offered to come and set up Christmas for us. Our small group constantly brought in meals, and they didn't just bring in meals. I clearly remember one friend who brought a meal and said, "I'm going to stay and we're going to have lunch together," and that meant so much because at that point it was, for me, life at that point was work, having to do the things I absolutely had to get done, and taking care of Charlie's therapy, and forget about the house. That wasn't happening.
You didn't clean your light fixtures.
And we just, there were things that were just such a blessing to us, but they were things I would never have asked for because it was just too uncomfortable. One of the things that we had to do for Charlie was he had to have blood thinner injections, and at that point I had never done an injection. And
do we have any nurses in our small group? Yeah.
We did have a nurse in our small group, and she called me and she said, "If you just absolutely cannot do it, I will come and take care of it for you." And I managed to do it, which was a good thing, but knowing that I had backup if I needed it was an immense help to me.
Yeah. Well, and that reminds me, in the book she talks about, when you allow people into your life, there is a certain level of vulnerability, right? They may see the gap in the back of your hospital gown, right? If they go to help you with something, particularly in that stage of life, perhaps where you're just visiting the doctor a little more often. I mean, they might see something that you didn't want them to see, but it's important that we're there for each other. And it's scriptural, right? That we allow our relationships to be meaningful. I mean, that shared experience is what bonds you even more to one another, to the community of Christ. And she doesn't talk about this in the video. She talks about it in the book a great deal. She talks about the story of the man who is unable to walk, and he knows that Jesus is in town, and he has to ask his friends to take me, right? Take me there. And this is the story, right, where they end up, I can't even get in. The crowd is too crushing. So the friends get creative, and they lower him through a hole in the roof, okay? So here's the lesson in that story. The man is healed in the end, and Jesus testifies to his friend's faith, like that you got him here, right, and you're made whole. But she talks about the fact that your friends might not do it the way you would have done it, right? I mean, I personally would be mortified to be the center of attention as I'm being lowered through a hole in the roof in my inability to walk or move, but in my need for Jesus. So before we're embarrassed at the way our friends do it, let's be thankful that we're healed in this action, right? So in the lines of control and surrender and what we've been talking about for the last couple of weeks, when we ask for help, we surrender a certain level of control, and certainly in the methodology, okay? Little spousal aside advice: do not ask your husband for help and then proceed to tell him exactly how he has to do what you've asked for help for, okay? 20 plus years, probably 40 plus years of marriage, don't do that. It's not good. Ask for help when you need it, and then let him do it, right? Because you will be blessed in the process.
One of the things that she talked about a lot in the book was her desire to sort of update her house. And so she started with her living room and was taking a course on how to be more minimalist. And so she cleared everything out of the way, and then, talked about bringing back in the things that mattered, but not everything, to sort of damp down, quiet the room is what she talked about. And I thought her transition to quieting our souls was really helpful, because there is so much going on in our lives that it's hard for us to see sometimes what is really important and what's vital for us. And she talks about do, delegate, or dismiss. And it's the old concept of when you're trying to organize a room, you have 3 piles. You have one of stuff I'm going to keep and I have to figure out what to do with, stuff I'm going to donate someplace else, and stuff I'm going to just throw away. Well, apply that to your spiritual life, to your soul life. What things are important for you to keep? What things are important for you to perhaps say, okay, this was helpful for a while, but it's not now, or, okay, that's not helpful at all, let's get rid of it. What we're talking about is an invitation to relationship. And Rhonda pointed that out a moment ago. When we're ready and willing to say, I need help, to another person, that's inviting them into a deeper relationship with us if they choose to help. And it's the same thing. Spiritually, when we say to Jesus, I need help, he's going to come in and help us, and the relationship will deepen because we've recognized, I don't have the control to be able to handle this situation. Jesus, I need you to come alongside me and help me move forward and grow deeper into you.
Yeah. It's definitely important to go to God for help, right? But then realize that when you go to God for help, he often provides through other people. Yeah. So when someone offers to help you, allow that blessing. It will be a blessing to you, but it will be a blessing to them. And it will, like Pat said, it's going to deepen the relationship. So yeah, I get super twitchy asking for help. I can't imagine that y'all don't know that about me. So I'm just laying it out there. I am absolutely allergic to asking for help because it might mean that someone is going to put an orange flower in a pink and white arrangement, and think that it's okay. But we do need help, and we build one another up. We build our relationship with Christ and the community of God when we allow people to help. So,
just as Rhonda said earlier, we need to remember too that when we ask Jesus for help, we need to not give him the to-do list of here's how to do it.
Yeah.
Here's how I want you to help me. Yeah. We need to remember that he's going to do it the way he knows is best for us, and that is the best way. And it's uncomfortable. It's very uncomfortable.
Yes, but it's all under control.
Yeah.
It's just maybe not under our control. It's under his. And that's what we're working towards, is surrendering to his control completely, even when that means asking for help. Maybe especially when that means asking for help. So we'll see you for the next one. Watch the video. Maybe watch us again in case you didn't catch it all the first time. And think about it this week. Work towards asking for help when it's appropriate and helping those around you, because we all need it right now. We'll see you.